All right, everyone, big weekend here. This solar eclipse weekend report. This is for February 24th to the 26th of 2017. So yeah, solar eclipse on Sunday, very important one, as they all are actually. But this one having to do with the south node. So we have a south node solar eclipse in Aquarius. This is essentially about past energy being released. The south node is about the past in this life, but also past and past life. In a sense of where we're coming from and what we're shedding, what we're letting go of. A very good way of looking at what the South Node represents is it's kind of like the karma that we build through our incarnations, through these physical manifestations, experiences of our life. So when we have a solar eclipse next to the South Node, this is essentially a new beginning, as all solar eclipses are. But of this one, a spiritual new beginning of doing that releasing, of letting go of things that we feel comfortable with, again, because we've had past energy with it. It's like the security blankets. It's also the things we yearn for, we want, but life is saying, look, from those particular perspectives that we're yearning for those things or a particular thing or something like that, although it's very subconscious, those particular yearnings and perspectives are what's being released, not anything in particular, not the energies themselves, just the unhealthy yearnings and attachments and fears and all of this deeper stuff. So it's very spiritual when we have a solar eclipse here because, first of all, what an eclipse represents is this lowering energy where the moon goes in front of the sun, right? So what becomes prominent is moon energy, right? Which is the emotions, it's the inner guidance, inner intuition. So it's very important that I feel like this weekend we listen to this inner guidance to see specifically if there are some patterns we can change, maybe some unhealthy patterns, unhealthy perspectives, attachments, yearnings, and again, that security there of what's comfortable and familiar. So the more we are willing to do that, at least in a sense of we don't really have to do anything with this solar eclipse. It's more of just bringing conscious light to the inner self. And things like meditation, for example, this weekend or on Sunday can be very beneficial, or getting some alone time, reflecting on things, meditating on things. But anyways, what we've got here is now a new beginning for the next 6 months of starting now this releasing process of letting go of anything that you might feel is unhealthy in your life or that you feel like you need to make change with or want to make change with to bring more balance and health. So we'll go ahead and look at this in more detail. It is going to be in Aquarius. It is going to be conjunct Neptune and Mercury, and we do have a very important aspect going on at the same time, Mars conjoining up to Uranus. All right, so more on this when we return. All right, so there it is, the chart of the solar eclipse. It is going to be at 10:53 Eastern Time on Sunday. Again, this is using the actual size and location of the constellation. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the description down below for more information on this particular type of astrology. But we do have the solar eclipse in Aquarius, very close to Neptune, in fact, and somewhat close to Mercury. So first of all, the Aquarius, let's analyze this. So we know this is a new beginning. We know it's about spiritual releasing and making some changes to bring health in our life. And Aquarius is essentially the qualities that we're dealing with to do this collectively. And Aquarius, being the water bearer, is essentially, the human who's pouring water into the river for all to drink, for society, for the community, or whatever that is. Now, this is symbolic for the fact that Aquarius represents the side of ourself that does want to give, does want to contribute, and perhaps be a part of something larger than ourselves. Now, it may not always be a community or group-oriented thing. It may very well just be our personal aspirations, our personal hopes and wishes for the future, things like this. So this is what we're bringing balance with, is a greater understanding about our true selves. Not the selves that, and the ideals that we maybe thought we wanted, or there were some old ideals or old perspectives from the past that were maybe not balanced, not healthy, right? So as we become more aware of these ideals that are more in alignment with our true self, you can say. And in order to find that, we do have to go within. And in a solar eclipse, it's more intuitive. It's our spiritual true selves. And that's what Neptune's been showing us in Aquarius. And it's our spiritual ideals. It's understanding that, these aspirations and these things that we could be contributing to or putting energy into in our life go beyond just what our minds are conjuring up, that there's a divine process, there's a divine plan, if you will. And Neptune helps us see that. So with the conjunction up to Neptune, there can be a lot of projections about some fantasies or dreams or wanting to escape. Maybe with our own personal ideals, maybe with collective things, community things, whatever it might be for you personally. But it's very important to be aware of this, that there are unhealthy qualities of Neptune, which is usually escapism, that is being released individually in each of our lives. So asking yourself the question, is there anything that is unhealthy or imbalanced with your escape, or wanting to hide away, or wanting to dream up fantasies or dreams or something like that? Could be an over or under extreme, either hiding away or creating, illusions, which is another form of escape. So that's a very, cut and dry example, but that's essentially what it's about. So doing that inner examination, I think, will help you see personally what these qualities are specifically for you. But with Neptune and the South Node, it's the yearning for wanting to dissolve and escape and hide away. So that's the Neptune side of it. Now Mercury's involved. So this is new, actually, because Mercury's recently gone to this part of the chart. And so with this, there's also a suggestion that there might be some unhealthy thinking patterns. So asking yourself if maybe there's any over-under extremes with the mind, with thinking in your life. Maybe it's just generally over-under thinking, probably usually over with the South Node. But maybe it's particular thinking patterns or ways of viewing things, or maybe your language, the way you're communicating and the words you say. Because, of course, the words we say do impact our reality, and it does play a role in manifestation. So we have to sort of be aware of what we're saying, what we're thinking. And I think with this solar eclipse, it's a really good time to do that, to bring extra conscious attention to the mind, to the communication, maybe even with the routine. Mercury is also routine. So for some of you, maybe there's some changes in your day-to-day you may feel like you want to make, again, to bring more health into your life with this solar eclipse. So those are the two aspects. No other aspects, conjunctions only with Neptune and Mercury here. Very important, though, as all conjunctions are. And again, in Aquarius, this is symbolizing aspects of the self that want to give or cultivate aspirations and ideals that were unhealthy that are being released. Okay? These are usually projections of the mind and patterns and emotional, again, karmic energy from the past. And so what will happen as a result from all of this, and again, it will take 6 months. We're going to see it in this lunar cycle. We're going to see it in the next couple weeks. But in a larger sense, in the next 6 months, there is individually and collectively these old ideals being released, these old aspects of what we thought about, who we thought we were, in a sense of what we thought we wanted for our aspirations or for the world, for our community. All these old aspects of self are being released. And what will be left will be a much purer one, a connection that's much more in alignment with what you could say our true self, our true spirit, our true soul. Aquarius is a very angelic sign. It's very much about our higher self in that sense. But in order to do that, we do have to go through all these layers of the ego, of the self, of the mind, in order to connect to that spiritual beingness. All right, so that's some food for thought there with that. Again, very important solar eclipse, generally speaking, and I think specifically having to do with that Aquarius energy. So along with this, we do have at the same time, roughly on Sunday, a conjunction with Mars and Uranus. All right, so this is just synchronistically happening at the same time, and it's a very important aspect, in fact. So earlier in the week, just to put this in perspective, we had Mars squaring up to Pluto. Now Mars is going to go over Uranus exact and then oppose up to Jupiter as we go into next week. So this is a T-square that we're talking about. And you can see the T-square here with Pluto and Sag squaring up to that Mars-Uranus, who are opposing up to Jupiter. In fact, Uranus and Jupiter have been opposing for some time, in fact, since last year, and they will go exact on March 2nd, okay, for the second time. So anyways, what this means, particularly with Mars and Uranus, though, is it does mean that there are some actions, perhaps, that we could feel like we want to take, particularly actions so we can have more freedom in our life, which is what Uranus represents. But again, in Pisces, it's spiritual. It's about the freedom of letting go, of detaching. Now, what's so interesting about this dynamic is that Mars isn't about letting go and detaching. Mars is about taking action, right? But maybe there are some ways of taking action or some ways of putting energy into things that can be more receptive, that can be more about accepting and letting go, detaching, putting our energy into areas that life or that divine plan, that divine process I was talking about is already taking us. And we may not know where things are taking us with Mars and Neptune, especially with Neptune Mars and Pisces and Neptune conjunct the solar eclipse. There's a lot of nebulous energy here, cloudy energy, uncertainty. And that's why it's so easy for the mind to project realities, fake realities. But anyways, with Mars conjunct Uranus, particularly where we can take more receptive action and put our energy into where that divine process is already taking us. And through that, it can be very freeing, very liberating. In fact, I think we're going to be feeling this quite strong on Sunday. Even though the solar eclipse, again, is a spiritual time, there will likely be this inkling to make some changes that is more for our freedom, that is more of an expression of what we're truly about in all of this. And that very much coincides with the Aquarius energy. In modern times, Uranus does rule Aquarius. So really good there for the actions. It is starting a brand new 2.5-year cycle with Mars, in fact, about starting some new things that are an expression of our true selves, that do bring more freedom in our life and meld our life in a way that it is more of an expression of what we're truly about. Okay, and that can be very liberating. And it does take time for it to unfold, but I think with this conjunction, it can certainly bring that short-term boost of wanting to make change and have freedom in our life. So listening to that, again, we'll know it because it's receptive, and that'll be the right path to take, of course, is the receptive path versus trying to force our way through things. Because again, this is part of a T-square. And earlier in the week, as a lot of you recall, midweek, we had Mars square up to Pluto, which was much more about clashes and struggles and forcing ourselves to, and there was just a lot of blockage there, and our fears and things are being brought to the surface. So that's still somewhat an orb. That's already passed, but I do want to say that this one in particular is much more about the receptive approach, okay, and that being the freeing process. And there's a lot of push and pull. Again, Jupiter and Uranus are in opposition. Mars is going to oppose up to Jupiter tomorrow. So there is a lot of this push and pull from what we've been feeling since about December of last year of wanting freedom in our life, of 2017 being a year of implementing this freedom, of actually, creating change in our life so we have more freedom. But with Jupiter oppositions, it can be quite extreme. And we're actually seeing this collectively as well, actually, with the whole political system and societal system, events and things we've got going on this year. But in our personal lives, maybe wanting to break free, break through, it can be quite, Jupiter expands what it contacts, and it's expanding the Uranus, the revolutionary, the freedom, the wanting to break free. So it's important we stay balanced with that as well. All right. But again, I think an inner process, I think most importantly, in a short-term sense, this weekend, allowing the energies to die down. As we approach the solar eclipse, we will be in the ending phase of the last lunar cycle. Okay, and so things are dying down. We want to listen. We have very good aspects actually on Saturday, a lot of sextiles with the moon, and just kind of see what comes our way, because there will be some new beginnings, and you can check your weekly, of course, to see which house this is particularly for you. I'll put a link down in the description or in the comment section. Yeah, listening, see what new inclinations, new insights, new things are shaping up in your life. And I think most importantly, in the sense of what you can change or let go of that will bring more health and balance into your life in general. All right, so hope you guys have an awesome solar eclipse weekend. Thank you again for all of your support, and I will see you all on Monday. Take care.